Hello, everyone. We're here. This is Talkie Walkies. I'm Jeff.
I'm Liesl.
Welcome to our 4th episode of Romcoms, where we talk about romcoms. And we talk about romcoms because we are in love ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We've been together a while. We
Yeah.
feel like we're living a true love story, so we feel like we have some bona fides to
We
talk
do.
about what romcoms are, because true love is whether it's there, you can feel it, or not. And normally we're middle-aged adventure walks, and we normally do walks in places such as this, which you can see in our other playlists. And every now and again we like talking about romcoms because that's often what we do after an awesome walk in a day, or even to go to a place like this where you have to walk a little bit to get to. Is super fun to then be able to talk about the movie we saw. And we haven't seen the one, we haven't talked yet about the one we saw last night. We've seen it, I think, about 3 times. The movie is Clueless, that we're going to be doing this time.
Yeah, Clueless.
And this time we are doing it because Paul Rudd won the Romcom King poll, and he's the Romcom King, and Jennifer Aniston was the Romcom Queen. And
So that's why we did We're the Millers, for some Jennifer Aniston.
Our 3rd
'cause
episode.
It won that.
And so now, people decided that We're the Millers was their favorite Jennifer Aniston. So now we are deciding, or they decided, so we decided to do Clueless because the people decided that Clueless was their favorite Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
So we're kind of wrapping up this little double sequence of that based on our polls. Thank you to everyone who voted and who's checked out our previous Talkie Walkies and all our videos. We encourage you to watch them as much as you can. And here we are to talk about Clueless. Clueless. Liesl. Clueless.
Clueless. What is Clueless? Am I giving the? It's not called an assessment. What's it called?
Well, if you want to dive in, you can do the premise and the tagline of Clueless.
The premise.
What would you say it is?
Well, it's about some very clueless people who try and be good people, and along the way they get some boyfriends, and everybody looks good and has good hair.
That's awesome. And it was directed and written by Amy Heckerling.
Yep.
And it stars Paul Rudd and Alicia Silverstone.
Mm-hmm.
And other people, but it's pretty well the 3 of them, I would say, are the main reasons why that movie succeeds. But also the supporting cast is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was based on Emma. It was probably mentioned in a lot of the write-ups that you may have seen, if you've seen the movie or not. And Emma is Jane Austen novel. It was the last one published while she was still alive. And it basically follows somewhat pretty closely the plot of that novel. And obviously set in Beverly Hills in 1995. I think it's pretty well set in the time that it is.
Yeah.
And it's still a phenomenon. It's still one of those movies that if you talk about romcoms, people talk about romcoms.
Which is kind of wild, because our first category is when did we watch this? And you said this is like our 3rd time watching this. You remember?
Well, that was me.
Do you remember watching it with me?
Well, no, that was me. I've watched it probably 3 times, and I don't know if we've watched it together. I may have just said what I just said, but the truth is that I think we've only watched it once together.
This last time, you mean? When
Yeah,
we watched it was
last
together.
night, in other words.
Yeah, because again, I have, as per usual, no recollection of when I saw this.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I can't remember.
I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but the glacier, you can just see the sunlight's on the glacier a
just
bit
hitting
there.
The glacier down over there, yeah.
As you can see, it's a beautiful location, by the way. We're in Nelson, BC, Kootenay Lake.
Yep.
This is the west arm of Kootenay Lake.
Yeah, we're up at Gyro Park.
As you can see, it's fall.
Yes.
A lot of people like fall content, turning of the leaves.
Yep.
So here it is.
Yeah.
And we waited for this day. It's a pretty good day. We waited a little later in the day because there actually was some rain that nobody predicted, but what a lovely day. Look at the light on the lake there and everything.
Yeah,
and
it is. It's very nice.
you can see where they put them all, and everybody loves the bridge.
Yes,
And
we are not clueless about how beautiful this place is.
there are the fields. Nice.
Right. So we don't know when we watched this. All right.
Well, I was curious when you first watched
No,
it.
like I have no idea. That's what
Like
I'm saying.
at all?
No, I never have any idea. Part of me even was watching it was like, have I even seen this before?
Wow.
No, but I totally have.
But like maybe just parts on TV? Because
No.
we're middle-agers, and there are
No.
times when you've just seen movies,
Yeah.
and you think you might have seen it because you've been channel surfing one night, and you've seen parts of it, but only chunks of it as you've surfed around.
I'm pretty sure that I watched the whole thing. I just
Okay.
have no recollection of it.
But like, so not in the theater probably. Like you don't...
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I have a whole hot take on it, obviously, because I like to have my hot takes.
Everybody loves a hot take.
But I'm not gonna dish what that is. You got to stick around and listen if you want the hot
Yeah,
take
stick around.
on that. So yeah.
Well, and I know I didn't watch it right away, and it was one of those ones for me, again, as a guy growing up in the 80s and 90s at that time, being a youngster adolescent. You know, that wasn't topping my list of movies that I was going to watch necessarily.
Yeah.
So I was curious with you that way. Like, do you remember when it came out even? Like, was
No.
it not even... And then, you know, obviously it's become one of those ones that's become very big, like we were said afterwards. And if you look at the top rom-com lists, which
Yeah.
we were just looking at now, and some of them you're like, really? Like Pretty Woman is really that high for
know,
everybody? Come on,
seriously,
people.
come on,
Like,
people.
everybody should probably reassess
They
their
probably should reassess
like
their
of that
Pretty
movie.
Woman.
And we maybe if, you know, we can do it one day just
Oh
to
my
really
gosh, I
go
don't
there.
know,
But
really?
just to be like, you know.
Drop a comment if you think we should do Pretty Woman. Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
mean, we're game, you know, we're here for tackle the rom-coms. So this one, you know, it definitely spawned a culture. Like I remember,
Well,
and
but
even in the
did
time.
it spawn a culture, or did the culture spawn it?
yeah. But there was definitely like lingo that came out of it that I remember
Do you
hearing.
think, but again, did the lingo come out of it?
Well-
or was the lingo happening and it just captured the lingo?
And that's part of the really cool thing about the script for me by Amy Heckerling is that it was so 90s.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so mid 90s,
Oh
and
my
whether
gosh.
whether she captured that or not.
Oh my
Apparently she did
gosh.
sit in on Beverly Hills High classes
Right?
to
That's
really
what I
see how
mean.
they spoke and everything.
Like, I
Oh, here
don't
comes the
know.
sun, Liesl.
Yeah, here comes the sun. I don't know. I think the lingo was out. I don't know if she was.
Well, either way, it was very zeitgeisty
It
and
was
very captured it.
very, yeah.
And with the, you know, we'll talk more about the costumes, but I remember the plaid, that was big.
Well, yeah, we'll talk more about that because there's definitely some takes about that. Let's go to our career arcs here.
Well, I mean, I'm going to start with Amy Heckerling, and
Okay.
as Liesl and I are both directors and have been directors, so we appreciate things like the light streaming through
Oh my
the
gosh,
clouds there
it's just gorgeous.
over the town.
We
of
understand if you're just
Nelsonia.
listening, but if you're able to actually watch at the same time, yeah, there's
We're
some,
describing it to you.
some
And
beautiful
letting you
light
know what's
happening right
happening.
now. Yeah.
yeah, look at that light on the lake too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, gorgeous.
She is now 70, and
She's
she's somebody
70?
who's been in the biz
Oh,
for a long time, as you can tell by Liesl's reaction there. And there's a theme right now that I'll bring out. Well, there's two themes. One is the NYC Jewish theme, New York City and Jewish. This is actually for an LA movie and a Beverly Hills movie. Everybody pretty well in it is Jewish, and a lot of them have New York City backgrounds.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then the other thing was an overall talkie-walkies theme that I was thinking about to mention to you, is that there's actually been a lot of deception in our first three movies that we did. Roxanne, The Proposal, and We're the Millers. You know, We're the Millers,
Very
pretending to be other
true.
people.
A lot of
The
deception.
Proposal, okay, we're together, fake.
Yeah.
And same with Roxanne, I'm this guy
Right.
that I'm not.
Yeah.
So this one was interesting that actually everybody's pretty straight up. And I was realizing that the deceit thing comes almost from them deceiving themselves, or especially Alicia's character, Cher, about how she's ultimately deceived by how she feels about our guy, Paul
That's
Rudd.
getting deep with it. Are we
What
getting
happened?
that deep right now?
What happened?
Are we already starting that deep? We're just career
What happened?
working.
We're just bouncing around, you know. We're just giving her. So what was really interesting about that was how she got these two actors. Alicia was like really zeitgeisty at the time,
Yes.
and then catching Paul Rudd at the time,
yes.
where he was just up and coming.
Yeah.
He hadn't even been.
Like he wasn't even zeitgeisting yet.
Yeah, he had shot Halloween 6 beforehand, but he hadn't come out yet.
Right. Okay.
So this was his first thing that people saw. This was for people's first Paul Rudd experience, unless you'd
Oof.
seen him in theater growing up in Kansas City or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Which you know, there's some ladies out there who remember him from back in the day, and we're like, oh,
for sure.
I had a crush on Paul Rudd when I was in high school.
I knew Paul in the day.
Right.
And so this caught Amy Heckerling at an interesting place because she had Fast Times in 1982.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Fast Times at Ridgemont
I
High.
don't think I realized that a woman directed that.
And that's what's really cool, you know,
Yeah.
written by a woman and director.
Okay.
And then this one in 95, right? That's 13 years. So that's, you know, that's a big gap in a lot of ways between her biggest movies, but it was very similar. It's a very similar movie. And I'll talk a bit about that, but just one of the things that I noticed when she talked about was that Spicoli, which was the big character that came out of that movie Fast Times,
Yeah.
Sean Penn,
Yeah.
his iconic stone surfer.
Yeah.
She said actually the reason that character was popular because that character was so positive. You know, if you think about him, even at the robbery with Judge Reinhold, right? It was like, awesome!
Like, I love that.
Right?
I love characters like that.
Well, that's it. I was like, you would respond to that because you have a
do.
character, Sleazel was a character you've done who is very much like that.
Yeah, I just like it when just people and things in general are positive. It's nice.
So she had some hits and stuff, but it was like, she had Look Who's Talking in between there, which were massive. But in '95, she was like, you know what? I want to write a character like Spicoli that's positive. So that's how she came up with Cher at that time in her career. And then it, became one of her biggest hits. But she's got one of those really interesting careers where, like, after Fast Times, she did European Vacation. I don't know if you ever saw that, but like, it's not great.
No, I think I did. And
she did Johnny Dangerously, which some people apparently love because it really spoofs the gangster movies and stuff. But like, it wasn't great. Michael Keaton, I saw it. And,
yeah, I don't even remember. I may have. No.
Oh, and by the way, in Fast Times, Cameron Crowe went into the school to get that script.
Oh yeah.
So it was interesting that then she did the same for Clueless 13 years later. Yeah, then she had the Look Who's Talking and 1 and 2, which made $300 million, the first one.
Yeah, you know what? I liked Look Who's Talking, so I don't know.
You liked the men in it and everything?
I did. I mean, yeah.
Because, right, Ted Danson, Tom Selleck, and Steve Guttenberg, right?
Yeah, Steve Guttenberg, like, what a thing. But, like, yeah, Tom Selleck. I like Tom. I like me some Tom Selleck.
You know.
Yeah. Monica knows. She knows what's right.
She knows what's up.
She does.
And then after Clueless, which then, and she had an interesting arc that way because when she went to school, she had a hard time getting work right away as a woman director.
Yes.
Even though she went to the American Film Institute and NYU.
Right.
And so, as a woman, you'd think it would be easier for her, but of course it wasn't because of the times.
Yeah.
So then she went through these weird gaps that way where, it seemed like even though she made $300 million, and she said she was so happy about that because she made like a man's money movie, like boys' money. She had a boy hit money. And then so to have both Fast Times and Clueless and Look Who's Talking, but then by 2000 she was doing that Loser one with Jason Biggs.
Oh, which I did not watch.
It's okay. Menace of Art, it's okay. And then the interesting one is for me really was it's called I Could Never Be Your Woman.
Oh.
And it's with Paul Rudd as the younger man who falls in love with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, that's a newer one.
Somewhat, 2007.
Okay.
And it's really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I shouldn't say that because I haven't seen it in a while, but like Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer together are amazing.
Okay.
Because Paul Rudd, he's Paul Rudd and he can work with pretty well anybody, right? And then to wrap that up, in 2012, she did Vamps with Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, interesting.
And they were like vampires who fall in love with some humans or something, which is kind of up your alley. I'm surprised, but like I never heard about that, right?
No.
And then she did like the Carrie Diaries, and then she did a few other things. But interesting career that way, like ups and downs and big hits in there. But for me, she talked about characters going against the norm, and they call her films proto-feminist films, and she always focuses on female friendship and that point of view and everything.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So
makes some sense,
somebody like that needs to be honored probably more than she is, I would say.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing, which came out somewhat recently, is she has one daughter. She knew that, but the daughter didn't know that her father was Harold Ramis of Ghostbusters.
Oh, whoa. Who are you gonna call? Controversy.
So then that's a whole thing. And then interestingly enough, Paul Rudd ends up being in the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, wow.
So
but
Amy Heckerling.
In a way, for Amy Heckerling, even though maybe because she's a woman director in Hollywood, we don't know why, but her Clueless, in a way, is her movie that way that then is remembered. What am I trying to say?
Sure.
Words, different words. When I'm like, it's
well, it's her Hall of Fame movie.
Yeah, it's like what's making her be.
Fast Times is pretty.
No, Fast Times for sure too, but I don't know. I think
pretty
think
iconic.
Clueless hits different.
Yes. Yeah. Like not way more positive.
Yes.
Because Fast Times, there's some negativity in there. Things don't go 100% great.
Right.
Other than some Spicoli.
Yeah.
So then Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd.
Well, yeah, I mean, Phoebe's husband in Friends, that was big.
That
was really big. Like,
and he
Phoebe
pulled that off.
is so great, and she needed someone great, and he was great, and that made that all great, which was super great. So that was great. And then also, right now, I am enjoying the Only Murders in the Building. Very much enjoying that. And he's in that. He's got big roles in that, which is a lot of fun to be hanging out with Paul Rudd.
Yeah. And then where he was then was so fascinating because he wasn't yet Paul Rudd, and then he was right after that he was Capulet. No, what's his head? Paris Capulet in Romeo and Juliet, Juliet's cousin, right? Remember with Claire Danes?
What?
He's in the the Leo Romeo.
What?
Yeah, he's Paris. And then he had that.
Mind blown.
And then he had that Wet Hot American Summer.
No memory of that. Yeah, Wet Hot
People
American
love that.
Summer.
Then he had Object of Affection in there with our
great.
fellow Romcom
Rom-com.
Queen Jennifer Aniston.
We
And then he had the double Anchormans.
Anchorman, delightful.
And then he all of a sudden became, then he had the 40-Year-Old Virgin, where he, again, supporting
Right.
roles, knocked up, supporting role.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he did I Love You Man, which I watched very recently. And I mean, he's amazing in that. And all of us from there, he was a lead. And then he was in This Is 40 with Leslie Mann, kind of the
Right.
sequel to Knocked Up.
Yeah.
And then he became Ant-Man. And then he did Wanderlust in there and then became Ant-Man. And that kind of changed everything in a lot of ways in terms of where he was and what kind of career he had.
Right.
Because all of a sudden,
Like everybody has to become a superhero.
he kind of got swallowed up by that. And then you haven't seen the second or third Ant-Man, for instance,
No,
even
I
though
think
you're maybe a big Paul Rudd fan?
Oh, excuse me. I think I saw the first one, and then I don't think I watched the other ones. But I
Right.
think it was also because I'm not a big fan of Chicky. Yeah.
We'll let her remain unknown. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you did the Ghostbusters, and you didn't see those either.
No, I know, which I like Ghostbusters. I think about it sometimes.
And then there's that Capture Was a Spy one that he has.
Yeah, I have no idea about that.
And it's a baseball World War II drama, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's doing
Yeah.
drama. And what I realized
I'm
is
not
like
doing baseball or World War II.
he's one of those guys maybe that people don't want to see do drama. You know, he has to have a certain level of comedy in his thing. And
Yeah, maybe.
and then it was interesting that he can play the straight man, which is what was amazing about I Love You Man.
Yeah.
And so in this movie, he kind of plays a straight man to a certain degree again, and he kind of does ground it in a certain sense of reality.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
That opening when you first meet him at the refrigerator, he is hilarious. Just that moment. Oh my God, the way he's standing and what he says, and oh God, like you're like, wow. For his first moments on screen, you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, and he's 55 now. Who is this guy?
Okay.
And he's a Kansas City guy. And I remember, like, he came from the theater as much as anything. And I remember he did this Orsino in 12th Night that somehow I watched, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
And he's really good at just, being funny. And
Yeah, he's funny.
he's Jewish as well.
Okay.
And his name actually was Rudnitsky.
Okay, yeah.
And he had his bar mitzvah in Ontario, of all places.
Oh wow.
And his parents are actually from London.
Like London, England?
Yeah, not Ontario.
You know what's so weird is in Clueless, he has a bit of an accent.
There you go.
And I wasn't even going to mention it, but it was just like, I don't know if I remember hearing him at any other time having an accent, but he's got this didn't you find
Maybe,
he had
yeah,
a
now
kind of
you mention
interesting
it, yeah.
accent?
That makes sense. And then so I could see that, that it would come through, and he probably worked at getting it down from there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, there was also our idiot brother, and that kind of slipped
I
in there,
like
but
that.
he was amazing in that.
I like that.
And his
yeah.
sisters were all really great in that.
Yeah.
So, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
And then Alicia Silverstone. Really interesting career.
Yeah.
Really interesting person. Really interesting career path, talking about career arcs.
Right? Well, because after, what else did she really kind of do?
Yeah, well, she did Love Labor's Lost in 2000, which she says is her favorite movie.
Okay.
And she had an amazing experience doing that.
Okay. But I never watched that.
No,
Has she
and
been in any TV shows or anything? Like, I know her for being vegan.
yeah.
I feel like that's what I now know her for. And it was interesting, maybe I'll talk more about it, but I wasn't sure how much I was going to like her in this. I didn't remember and I wasn't sure
Right.
going back. And so I'm not going to tell you, but because I'm going to wait.
Well,
until the
95,
digital
you're
please.
23, so you're probably closer to Josh's age, Josh Lucas, Paul Rudd's character. By the way, his character's name was Josh Lucas, what they said. Then there's an actor who is
Yeah,
Josh,
there is a
Josh Lucas.
Josh
who's
Lucas actor.
a bit of a
That's
Paul
true.
Ruddian figure, so.
Yeah. That is funny.
And then, so you would have been 23 at the time yourself, and like,
Right.
so a high school student who's 16 might not have been as interesting to you. Maybe
Yeah,
you were just a little
maybe.
too old for it to a certain degree.
I was too cool. I was too grunge.
Right? And you're like, oh my God, she's so like
Maybe.
this and that.
Don't remember. Maybe.
There you go. You got your sunlight, by the way. You might want to turn around. Look at that.
Okay, well.
Look at that streaming sunlight.
All right. So career arcs. So yeah, I don't know. Alicia.
Well,
Not
and
as big of a career arc as Mr. Paul Rudd there.
she had this weird thing where 97 apparently Jim Carrey kissed her after accepting an award, and he apologized off stage and stuff, but apparently she was obviously bummed by that. And then she did Batgirl in 97. She was in the Clooney,
that's right.
Chris O'Donnell Batman.
Which I never watched.
Well, again, then it didn't do well, and it was almost like that was when she was at her peak in terms of box office and stuff.
Oh.
And then it just never really happened for her after that, which is
interesting.
Yeah.
Alicia.
And I think part of it was just who she was, like very much in animal rights, very quite a cultured person. Like her parents traveled around lots of countries growing up.
Right.
She's a nudist. She doesn't. She has a
no
nude policy in her movies, but then she herself is a nudist, and like she's kind of open about it. She gardens nude, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, any beach she said she'll go nude. So
yes to no tan lines.
Right. And then, vegan herself, and very ecological and things.
Yeah.
She's fluent in French.
Oh wow!
So she's one of those people who is probably way more interesting, actually, than people realize.
Yeah, yeah.
And because of this movie, and often people can't. No offense, people, but some people can't, make the differentiate between fiction and reality. And who, if you play somebody, they think you're that person.
Right.
And as Liesl and I have played different roles, you definitely have people who blur the lines and can't really realize sometimes.
And Cher is very much a character.
Yeah, and that's so it shows a good performance in that way.
Very much a character.
And so yeah, she's 48 now, by the way. Paul Rudd is 55,
okay.
so they got a 7-year between them. But yeah, I mean, if you look at their two career arcs, it's amazing what happened to Paul Rudd versus Amy Heckerling and Alicia Silverstone, and I think that has a lot to do with women in Hollywood, right?
Yeah, he's also just talented. He was going to go places. That was just going to happen.
Well, because he's Paul Rudd.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
So cool. those are the big three, I think, in terms of the arcs. And then so going into what we kind of just talked about is, did we like the two leads? And in this case, Josh Lucas and Cher Horowitz, I think.
So there's my drop, is I really liked Alicia. Like, I really liked her.
Well, you like positive characters.
I like positive characters, yeah. But going in, I wasn't sure. And just even like her as an actress and her performance and all of that. And it was, I loved it. That was a surprise to me. She was a delight. And obviously, I loved Paul Rudd. He looks so young. Oh my gosh. So yeah. Also just wanted to mention that, of course, her character is an orphan. What?
Well, she's not an orphan.
Well, no, but she has her mom.
Yeah, I mean, the classic Disney move, yeah.
Always.
That's a Hollywood trope, yeah.
All the time, romantic comedies.
Yeah, so well, somebody, yeah.
Can there not be just parents alive in romantic comedies?
That's part of what was fascinating for me, was like how quick the joke was about the mom with the liposuction. Like,
yeah, it was really quick. It was like, my mom had liposuction, she died, I don't remember. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, and that was something I noticed, which I might touch on again, but it's just how many there's a suicide joke in there right off the hop. Like, there's a Coke joke right away. You're definitely thrown into the deep end, and you're like, oh, okay.
The references are. They are, oh my gosh, yeah, we're going to talk about those.
Yeah, they're off the hook.
The hook.
So you liked Cher.
I did.
Probably inspired by her positivity and how she worked things out. And you like love, and so the fact she's like Emma-like, Austenian, that she's trying to improve. I
like that she battled for her grades to get better grades and was like, no, I'm not going to accept this, and I'm going to go and talk to the teachers. I was like, yeah, you do that. You go, girl. For sure.
Yeah, that's your spirit, right?
Yeah,
that's what you did a lot of.
Totally.
Is make it happen.
Yeah.
You played Puss in Boots in a big show here in Nelson, and that was the Puss in Boots attitude. Is you know what, just make it happen.
Make it happen, exactly.
And if it's not happening, figure out another way to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly, right. So yes.
What about the Josh Lucas, aka Paul Rudd?
Oh yes, no, he was a delight.
Totally. So he worked for you too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, he was hilarious. He was cute. He was charming. He did the right things. You know, anytime you were like, oh, is he going to go pick her up? Is he going to go do this? He would kind of be like, oh, yeah, I totally am. And you're like, yes. Yeah.
So this is an interesting place that I find myself in. By the way, we're giving you fall colors.
Really? You didn't like him?
Look at the fall colors, everyone.
What? Like you didn't like Paul Rudd? You didn't like Josh? Tell me what?
Well, And I did some internet research
What?
afterwards just to kind of see if I was the only one who had that reaction.
What was your reaction?
It was yes and no. So before we get too
Okay,
dramatic about
alright,
it,
okay.
it was, you know, like I liked it.
Right.
And I liked their, you know, they had a bit of a cute background together, which I'll talk more about.
Okay,
and
but
then,
we're not talking about the relationship. We're just talking about the characters themselves.
Sure, and I like their banter and things and all that, so that was fun. And I like both of their costumes and things. But I just mean like the individual elements that they had that they could make the chemistry together. Like that was fun. I'm just trying to give my yes before I give my no. You know, it's just
I want to hear your no.
I'm trying to be better.
Whatever about the yes. We all know why it worked. What's the no?
Well, and again, I'm not the only one who said this. Is their age gap, and it's weird because
right,
we've
age
talked about this
gap.
before, and I don't want to be the age gap guy because
But
that's not.
more, again, that's more a relationship thing. Like,
Okay,
forget
but
about the age gap. Did
just
you
hear-
like
hear-
his performance? Did you like him? Or did you not like him because you were like, he's macking on a high school girl?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like
I
he's
mean,
macking on his used-to-be stepsister.
see, that
who's
part's
in grade
different
11.
because some people online have a lot of issue with that part, with the step sibling part
Right.
between Josh and
Right.
Cher.
There's definitely that whole part where she's like, "Oh, you're not my brother."
Well,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the dad has to emphasize, you know, that you're not related, basically, and
Yeah.
it's probably too small in the screen. But for those at home, they're soccer players, so you can see them running down the field down there. It's pretty cool.
Hilarious. I'll just hold it for a minute.
But they look
there.
really small with their eyeballs, so they
Yeah.
probably look extra small.
Yeah.
You
They're
probably
just,
enhance your screen if
they're
you're
just like
watching
white
at home.
dots on the field down there.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And it's because, and this really hit me this time, and even though Paul Rudd is babyface and he's legendary young and he is an amazingly aged guy
Yeah.
at 55,
Yeah.
he's 26 when he filmed that movie, and you know, I kind of was aware of that, and then that's when there's a big debate, massive debate online. So it's funny that I end up being the one who ends up going here, but again, I'm representing a significant portion. Like people love it, and even people have revisited it who liked it originally, and then are like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Whoa.
But yeah, so their actors' age differences at the time between Paul and Alicia are 26 and 18.
Right.
That's okay, you know, it's 8 years. She's a legal adult, and I
Yeah.
guess we're okay there.
Yeah.
But you know, that's 8 years, and as
Yeah.
anybody who's been between the years of 26 and 18, you change a lot in those years.
You change a lot in those years.
There's a lot learned,
That's very true.
especially about love and matters of those things in terms of power
Absolutely.
dynamics, etc.
Absolutely.
And especially with him being kind of an older brother figure and with the approval of the dad, and
Yeah.
you know, who was played by Dan the Man, and I'll get to that later. But then their characters, there's a big debate online how old they are, and it's pretty well, I think, clear based on what the movie says that Alicia is she's 15 at the beginning,
Right.
and she's probably 16 when she ends the movie.
Yes.
So then she's doing a lot of driving. She must have her learners, right? They don't really talk about that.
Yeah,
but,
she doesn't have her license. That's what she's trying to get.
but she's got her
She-
learners.
yes,
Like
she
she's not
must.
driving legally.
Well, she should have somebody else in the car. So yes, she is driving illegally, but she does have a learners, I believe.
Yeah, so that's legal.
Kind of.
She's driving legally at that part, except for her, you know, crushing everything and all
Yeah.
that.
Maybe if you're in Alberta, it's fully legal, but that's about it.
And then his character, Josh Lucas, he's a freshman in college. And so they never actually say how old he is. And I did the math on my own age, and the math checks, I believe. But I was 17 in the fall of my freshman year
Right.
in college.
So he could be 17.
Could be 17,
And
but
then 18 at the end.
18 by the end, yeah. And that's the problem, is that like I'm a late fall birth, right? So if I was 17 late in the year, like by Christmas, which we go through,
Yeah.
you would have to turn 18. So by the end of the movie, he is 18.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten together yet, and he's 18. And the laws in California, she makes a joke about it later. And again, I'm representing what is also online. I'm not saying like I'm fully on the side or whatever. I'm just, I was definitely leaning that way when I was watching it. And then so I checked it out, and she makes a joke about, as if, you know, what, this is California, not Kentucky. But the
right.
statutory law in California, according to the online people, is 18.
Oh, wow.
So technically, he was a legal adult hooking up with a high school student at the end of the movie.
Whoa.
I don't want to change your view too much,
I mean,
but like,
I guess technically had the approval of their once together dad.
right, which, you know, he might be a little biased and all that, and who
I
knows,
don't even care. I still like them.
well, and you can like them, and that was my yes part, right? Is if if you lean on the other side and you just take that and you're like, okay, it is what it is,
Yeah.
then they are very likable and their arc is very
like,
nice.
You get together when you're young because you just are young, but you like each other. I don't know.
And then, as I said, other people have a problem with the step sibling thing, but
Yeah.
they aren't blood related.
No, they aren't blood related. And it doesn't seem like his mom and her dad were together for a long time either.
No,
so.
a short time, and it was 5 years ago.
You know.
And at that age, that's a long time ago.
Right, exactly.
All right, what was the best part of the movie, Liesl, for you?
Oh my
The best part of Clueless.
That was hard.
Really?
I found, like, for me, nothing really popped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was
That's
really
what
the
happened to me
best part.
too.
But then I thought about it more.
Yeah.
And I decided, because, you know, as we talk about our love and being a romantic, that the best part was when Paul Rudd, or Josh, aka Josh, fell in love with her when she came down the stairs in her white dress.
Yeah, that moment.
That was just, oh, he just acted it so well. It was so cute. And you were just like, oh, he just knows now. There it is. He's in love. Boom. And it was interesting because for me, that was almost like a turning point in the movie, because not having seen it for so long, I knew it was supposed to be a rom-com, right? So I'm like, okay, there's some sort of romance is happening. And I figured it was between her and him, but I didn't remember how or what was going on. And so kind of at the beginning, I was like, what is this movie about? Like, for a while, I was like, what is this movie about? What is even happening here? What is even going on? And then when that moment happened, it was like, oh, there it is. Okay, now we're
It's a rom-com.
Now we're going.
They've been setting up them the whole time.
So nothing really popped, but for me, it was that moment. And I also appreciated the dad's knowing in that moment.
Right.
Like, I feel like the dad probably when they were young already was like, oh God, these guys are probably going to hook up and they love each other and I'll just let that be, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Did you have a favorite moment?
Well, it was the dad and daughter moment. And so it's funny you were just saying that.
The dad and daughter moment. So,
yeah, when he was so proud of her and exactly for doing the thing that you admired in her, that she talked her way up in the grades, and he couldn't have been more proud and everything.
Couldn't have been more proud.
And that was, that was the moment I was like, aw,
that
like,
was
look
really
at that.
Cute.
And then her bedfall, Alicia's bedfall, was pretty great. And it got a laugh from you. There wasn't too many out
like
loud
when she
laughs
fell
you had.
Off the bed.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you're always good for a good pratfall.
I'm good for a good pratfall.
And she
someone falls down, I'm into it.
Yeah, and she performed it well and everything. So,
yeah.
But and then the whole setting up the teacher's bit is amazing.
Oh, it's very cute.
And it's the payoff at the end too. So.
Yes.
But I think ultimately it was the dad and the daughter talk,
That's
and
very sweet.
their relationship
I like that.
was really interesting, and he was hilarious, which we can get more to.
Yeah. Oh, good one. Good choice, Jeffrey. I love that.
The moment you mentioned, by the way, some people, that's one of the scenes that they get kind of like see it differently now.
Oh, they don't like it?
Well, because if that's an adult, Mac and the high school
and
girl.
he's like, ooh, look at her in her tight white dress.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but fair enough. She looked hot, and he was like, oh, I have tinglings that I didn't know I was going to have in regions that are being awoken.
I love the fact that on Talkie Walkies, you pretty well represent the male gaze, so. Well, that got the camera shaking with laughter.
I got the camera shaking with laughter. Yes, I do. That is true.
But,
and I'm glad that you represent the more feminist angle.
Right, yeah, I'm like, hey, wait a second.
It's good. It's good. It's a good balance.
All right, the iconic beats.
Oh my. Okay, so I have so many.
Wow.
So there was just like, I felt like, this is my hot take. I'm gonna go into my hot take.
Give it.
I felt like this movie was so representative of the 90s. I was like, did I get brainwashed by this movie? Or is this movie just pointing out all the brainwashing that was happening?
Did this movie make the 90s?
Like, it literally was nonstop for me, the references. I was just like, are you kidding me? There's that. And just these things, like, it is so of its time, and it is such a
Do we both have a
cultural
list of all the things that were mid-90s about the movie?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, because I got a whole
like a whole thing.
Yeah, we all
right? But I mean, in terms of the iconic beats, but overall, what was iconic and the most important that I'm going to say.
Well, and that people.
Well, for me, was that she decided that what she wanted to do was make over her soul.
Ooh, nice. Soul makeover.
Yeah, like she was like, I want to be a good person and I'm not feeling satisfied in these ways. And she actually says that. I was going to do a makeover, but a makeover of my own soul.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is just, Really cool, but I don't know if gets noticed and is probably a lot more about what the movie is about than what maybe even gets noticed that way.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and
But
that's kind of the arc of Emma as well, is that
a soul makeover to
yeah,
being
she
a good
becomes
person.
far less materialistic and realizes
Right.
the value of
Right.
goodness and
See, I never read Emma because
wholeness.
that would mean reading.
Well, and that's not your favorite milieu,
no,
so to speak.
Milieu. That's very true. So yeah, I never did that. So I don't really know about it too much. And whenever they put out an Emma movie, I don't watch it either. Sacrilege. I know. So yeah, I'll just mention a few that I have.
Yeah, give me them.
Things like the makeover montage.
Yeah.
And I just want to say about that in terms of like, I feel like movies, especially from the 90s and 80s, there was so much about makeovers. There was so much about you don't have money and you have curly hair like me.
Reinventions.
And you don't have this and you can't get the guys and nothing's going to work out for you, but we're going to give you a makeover. Pretty Woman, good example. And then once we make you over and we straighten your hair and we do all these things, life will be great. You will have a great life. And I think it like damaged me growing up in terms of being obsessed with makeovers.
Wow.
And I feel like I had this whole arc in my life of feeling like, oh, I want to be in Hollywood, or I want to be an actor, or I want to be all these things. But I don't know if I actually wanted to do those things. I think I just wanted a makeover. Like, I think my whole life I've just wanted somebody to take me and be like, it's okay, we're going to do these things for your skin, we're going to do this for your hair, we're going to like give you these massages and this personal trainer and this dietitian, and you know, kind of like, what could you do with me? How hot could I be if I had that makeover experience? And instead, I will only be as hot as I am because I do not have rich friends like Cher who are like, let's just take you and make you over and then you'll be so much better and happier. Thank you. You're lovely. You're my husband. But yeah. And so like, it's moments like that that I'm like, was this movie influencing me, or was it just parroting back what was being so already brainwashed and put into my own little brain?
That's a whole like artistic philosophical discussion there has been many treatises written about such things. Right? That's kind of awesome that that's what you went through. And
there's a whole thing, right? I was just like, of course, the makeover.
Well, in this case, it was Brittany Murphy who got made over.
Yeah, they did, and they didn't fully
she came from the wrong side of the
straighten her
tracks,
hair, which was nice.
Yeah.
They'd still, and she talked about liking her little curls, which I appreciated.
Yeah, they let her have curls. That was a remarkable makeover that way.
Remarkable.
That her hair didn't have to get straightened.
I appreciated that.
And in terms of career arcs, by the way, you know, there is Breckenmeyer and Brittany Murphy with fascinating career arcs, and it's almost like the Brittany Murphy thing in terms of when I was talking about Hollywood. It's just so sad. It's almost
so sad.
it's almost just
R.I.P.
like.
We'll talk about them with supporting
characters.
Oh
my goodness.
more. I know. Yeah. Okay. Iconic beats. Things like using a map. Hacky sack, school dance. Do people even have school dances anymore? Like, that used to be such a thing, and I'm like, what a relic of the past.
Yeah, now you're doing my list. Here we go. I can go too.
Cell phones.
With the antenna.
With the antenna.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that I wanted to mention, and then you can go more with your list, is the whole idea of everything being centered around wealth and popularity.
Oh, man.
And that if you have wealth and if you have popularity, then that's great. And if you don't have those things, then you are not doing good, and you want those things. They're very important. And I feel like there's even slang from this movie that I feel like is resurfacing in this really interesting way.
Yeah, because the 90s are back.
Yeah, but I feel like there's this whole thing about wealth and popularity, right?
Yeah,
everybody wants to be on social media, and they all want to have 1 million followers, and they all want to have perfectly everything to all, what's it called, snatched. They want to be snatched, and all that kind of stuff. And this, again, I was like, was that already happening and this movie was just commenting on that? Or, you know, vice versa.
Yeah.
But that was a really big, just iconic beat in terms of a theme that I noticed.
Was it the muse or the artist or both? Or?
Right, exactly.
Well, my iconic beats were, it was weird because you know, the best part, like, I kind of, it was more just stuff and montages and like, oh, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. We don't mind.
Hi.
We'll turn it away from you.
Yeah.
Like the white Jeep, the all the plaid.
All the plaid, yeah, big time.
The dick lawyers being dicks.
Yeah,
like that dick
dicks.
guy. He was super.
Yep.
And then the reunion between friends. Like that one to me in a lot of ways, that was almost the most iconic beat, because you get the friendship and then they come together and you know they had their fallout.
Right.
So, but it was mainly the stuff, and I'm going to save a lot of that for the writing, actually, when we talk about the writing, because a lot of that was like you were talking about. It's like, how much did she grab from the zeitgeist? But it was amazing how she captured it. So
right.
I'll save my list just for a bit here.
I mean, I have more list of other things. I don't know if it fits in more with the stuff you're talking about, or with the stuff that, you know.
Well, so let's see.
So, okay, things like coffee stunts growth. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I remember that. And when they said that, I was like, did I get that from this movie? Or was that a thing in the 90s and they were just commenting on it that way? Because is that even real? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
If you know whether or not coffee stunts growth, you can always leave a message for us and leave a message. You know what I'm saying?
On the voicemail.
Leave us a voicemail about it on the answering machine. Send us facts about it. We'd love to hear get a fax from you. The environmental issues.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my.
Environmental law, environmental fair.
Well, all of that, but also that it was like, oh God, nothing's changed. How long ago was that? And if anything, it's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse now.
Yeah. They talked about peace in the Middle East.
Right? Peace in the Middle East. Oh my God.
And anybody who knows what's going on right now while we record this in August of 2024 knows what we imply by that.
Yeah. The mall, the idea of the mall, what the mall used to be. I don't think.
The sound cue did that like a temple.
Right? It was like, the mall.
The church.
Because it used to so be that thing. Oh my God, growing up in a small town, I used to love going to the mall.
And that was again, very fast times that way.
Oh, you know what I would do, just sidetrack, in terms of mall things back in the day? You know about this, is I would get myself a Malibu, and then I would go to Orange Julius, and I would get a Pina Colada Orange Julius, and put my Malibu in the Pina Colada, and then shop. You're welcome.
She was a total legal drinker. She was of age when I saw it anyway.
Yeah, no, it was great. So I have the mall. Nose jobs.
Oh, yeah.
All the nose jobs.
Yeah, Beverly
hilarious. Not hilarious, but hilarious.
Mid-90s.
Diet culture.
Oh, yeah.
The way that they always ate their little bites of food. It was
and just subtle.
It was constant.
Throughout
the whole entire show, it was constant. She was always watching what she was eating, how she was eating, making comments about what she was eating.
And her dad's eating.
Her dad's eating. Like, the diet culture message was just insane. Workout videos.
Yeah, Buns of Steel.
Right? I used to have workout videos. I had a Cher workout video. That thing was
classic. There you go.
I love that workout video.
Because she's probably named after Cher, right?
I think so, yes. I believe so. Obviously, yeah. Skateboarding, just skateboarding in general.
Yeah, and it being so 5 years ago.
Oh my God, it was so funny. But like, skateboarding was obviously such a thing. The hot new boy. I don't know, like that. Maybe for you, there's the hot new girl, but I feel like that was always a thing.
You had the ski boys coming to town too.
We did have the ski boys coming to town. Who was the hot new boys? I was in a small town. There wasn't a lot of new boys, so if a hot new boy showed up, it was like, oh my gosh, good luck, everybody.
There's a good twist on that in this movie. Yeah,
there's a good twist. And then house parties.
Oh, love a house party.
I just don't know if house party, maybe they do, maybe we're middle-aged, so we're middle-aged, we're like,
they are.
I don't know.
And apparently the kids these days,
young kids are having house parties.
By what I read on the Yahoos, things are getting pretty kinky again for the kids.
Oh, they're getting kinky at the house parties, maybe because
the young adult kids.
Post-COVID, they're like, let's do this.
Yeah, letting loose, yeah.
Yeah, having a little time.
Well, 90s is back, and that's the thing, 90s was getting pretty like weird and kinky.
But try hard kiss ass 90s is back. Not grunge, anti-corporation.
Well, so more Cher than Paul Rudd.
More Cher than Paul Rudd.
More Cher than Josh.
Exactly. So
interesting.
Not that those were all iconic beats, but I felt like the whole thing just encompassed all these things that, like I said, were they influencing me from that, or was that commenting on them? Because oh my God. Oh, even the ad programming. Brittany Murphy sitting there and singing the ad song.
The jingle.
Oh my God, I was like, just the programming. I felt like it was giving us such a good look at the programming that we had gotten in the 90s.
So it's a deeper movie than people realize. And is it possible that Amy Heckerling was making a quote that society itself is clueless?
Ooh, that is so good. Yes. Yes.
Way to go, Amy.
Yes, did you just come up with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, with your help, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, you helped me get there.
Wow.
And Amy.
That was great.
I think, now I think about it, she was probably there.
Yeah, society itself is clueless, and that's, It was wild because seeing that, it was just, I think not seeing it for so long, it was so in my face. It was like, look, the programming of your youth.
So you think you have seen it before? That seemed like an indication.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I just have no memories. It's fine.
She has some.
Yeah.
She remembers the important stuff.
Yeah.
Is it a good kiss, Liesl?
Okay. So I really thought it was.
Ooh.
And I know the age difference and you can whatever and whatever.
It was a bit pressy face, but...
Okay, so the first time they kiss on the stairs.
Yeah.
On top of the stairs.
The iconic moment, yeah.
Which is...
That's kind of the iconic beat in a way, but
yeah,
keep going.
it's a good moment. And it's a pretty good kiss. But the kiss at the end...
Oh, okay, right. There's 2 kisses. I forgot.
It's a really good kiss.
That's right. It is a much better one.
And it seems like they're friends, and it seems like they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And just, you know how this kisses sometimes seem awkward, but
Yeah.
this one even seemed to have like a little bit of tongue, but not in a gross, awkward way, and everybody was fine with it. And it actually was a really, really great kiss. Like right now, of our rom-com list of all the kiss.
Ooh.
It is winning.
I mean, technically,
on the kiss list.
Technically, we're going with the first kiss, though. In a way, is it a good kiss?
I mean, it is also.
But are
a good
they
kiss.
a good kisses?
Yes.
I would give you that because the second one
Yes.
was way better.
Yes,
And-
but I do think they are good kisses. Yes.
And because the first one, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I mean, it seemed like both of them wanted to kiss each other, and it seemed like Alicia was quite fine at 18 kissing 26-year-old Paul Rudd,
I mean,
which is
I
fully
think
legal.
we all would be fine
And he's Paul Rudd.
kissing Paul
Ooh,
Rudd.
look at the light on the flowers
Ooh,
right there.
let's
Oh
get
my.
that. Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, we're heading up that way, by the way.
Yeah.
This is Gyro Park. If anybody's wondering, there's a pool over there, playground. Look out.
Yeah.
All sorts of fun.
Yeah.
Great place to run around with kids. They like it here.
Yes. So
Well,
yeah,
the
did
first
you think
one-
it was a good kiss?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Especially I like you talked me more into the second one for sure.
Okay.
The first one, a little grabby, it's almost quasi-consensual, and the more movies I watch from these genres and all of a sudden, I'm always like, kind of consensual.
But
and
it was impulsive.
There's a grab and kiss, yeah, there's that impulsive grab
But then
and
he
kiss.
like kind of pulled back, like, is this cool? That was
Yes.
the consensual part, and then she went in for more, and it was like, yes.
Yes.
So I feel like that was fine, especially in the 90s,
It was the 90s.
right?
Well, and that was it. For that kind of thing, yeah, like it actually, and she seemed into it. She was giving visible yes signals, I would
There's
say.
so many visible yes signals.
Right. So in that sense, but it is amazing how many, like, I think we should track almost the quasi-consensual grab and kisses that happen in such movies.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, now this one is a little strange for me.
Okay. We're doing it.
How about you introduce it this time?
Okay.
We'll change it up.
How hot is the sex? Okay, so
Yeah.
technically we are talking about a high school girl who's young.
Yeah.
So that is why maybe you're feeling like, is
Well,
it appropriate for us
yeah,
to speak
like
of
I don't
these
know,
things?
man.
Okay, so my answer was, like, they're really young, right? So is she gonna lose her virginity to him? Probably.
Uh-huh.
Is their sex gonna start out amazing? Like, it's gonna start out fun. It's gonna be okay. She's gonna learn, they're gonna do things, they're gonna have a few laughs, eat some snacks in bed, watch some movies, they're gonna figure it out. If they stay together, which is kind of, the questions coming up,
Yeah.
I think that in the end they would have, yes, hot sex.
They'd get there.
They would get
I
there.
think that's often your answer. I think that was the Roxanne answer, that they did a bit of time and then...
No, I thought Roxanne,
Oh,
they
they
were
were
just
right
gonna
away,
kink
yeah.
right away and get the nose involved.
Maybe it was Ryan Reynolds and Sandy B that you thought.
No, I also thought they were gonna. No,
Was it
this
Jan?
is my,
What about Jan? And where was her Jan? And
yeah, maybe a bit more.
They needed a bit more time. It was
Maybe
them.
a bit more
Okay.
time.
Ooh,
But
look at
this
that
one,
light. Look at
just
that.
even a
Lens
bit
flare.
more time.
It was lens flare, folks.
Yeah, nice lens flare.
For those who are listening.
So fair enough. I mean, should she be having sex? I mean, she is young, but they're
Well,
going to. It's
and
gonna happen.
according to some people online, it's illegal.
It's
If they did,
Oh,
which
God.
implies that they did.
yeah.
I'm just,
No, I know.
I'm just reporting facts that are online, and as everybody knows,
It's
online
like
facts
super fair. No,
are
that's
everything.
like super fair. So I.
So
feel
that so that's why I think I'm just gonna skip it because
Yeah, just skip
it's
that.
it's potential illegal sex that involves a minor. So
Yeah. So as
the fact that I don't want to talk about it means that it
Yeah.
maybe means that it maybe wasn't the best.
Yeah, but I said what I said. So.
Well, and that I liked your perspective that
Thank
way
you.
because you were a minor youth female yourself. So
I did have
know.
an older boyfriend. I did not have sex with him, but we did some bases. We loaded bases.
should these people even be together at all? And by the way, I added at all because we asked later, will they last? So
Right.
just in general, should these people have hooked up? Is kind of the
What
thing.
did you say?
Well, again, maybe not. But I'm curious what you want to say.
I put Sure.
Sure, there we go. I mean,
Like, sure.
you know, there is that thing of they really seem to have good chemistry, and
They do
whether it
seem
was
to
Paul
have
Rudd and Alicia
good
being able to
chemistry.
portray that, and they're two adults as
Right.
actors. Like, again, thank goodness she was 18 herself.
Yes.
Alicia, not Cher, Alicia.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
But
yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
what? We were talking about that, and I think if they had made her that little bit older, it would have been her grad year at high school, and it would have been way more about the grad.
right. And I was kind of
So-
thinking, I'm gonna talk about this a little later, but I have a solution for that maybe. But I'm curious
okay.
what you think.
Okay. All right.
Last category.
Okay. All right.
So how rich are these characters?
Oh my
right? I
gosh.
mean, Daddy's got money.
I mean, come on.
And they both have the same daddy, which is weird for a rom-com, but he's, you know, they're not
Yeah.
related, but they kind of
Yeah.
are going to get the same money maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
And Paul Rudd has the opportunity to make the money he does
There's
because
a lot of money.
he's making
And he
money
wa-
by
well, he
working for
wants to-
Daddy.
and he wants to be a lawyer also, so.
Yeah,
there's
environmental
some-
law. But then there's that joke about what you want to be poor your whole life.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's implied that I think they're both going to get Daddy's money at some
Yeah,
point,
there's
and
a-
they're already living off the high off
Oh
the
my
hog
gosh,
of
much.
Daddy's money. So how rich
Yeah.
are these characters? Seem like
Like,
very rich.
so
Like that's a big
rich.
house in Beverly Hills.
Oh my gosh, they are.
That's some real estate,
so
right?
Very, very rich.
Yeah.
They are really.
And
going
Daddy's
for
working
it.
hard.
Oh, Daddy's working real hard. For the
All right.
richness.
So will he last?
I put, yeah.
That sounds totally certain.
Like I don't know because they're so young.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, she's
I put they're both so young, but maybe.
Like she'd be a high school sweetheart and he'd be a college sweetheart. They'd be high school,
Yeah.
college sweethearts.
Like, but at the same time, she's a very interesting and unique character.
Yeah.
So maybe he's smart enough to realize that, you know what, I'm not going to find anybody else like her.
Right.
And maybe she realizes I'm not going to find somebody who gets me the way he does and treats me with the level of love and respect.
Yeah. And even though they grew up as kids together and spent time as kids together,
Yeah.
you know, they probably will have a lot of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
yeah.
the interesting thing I found is that they are based on Amy Heckerling's grandparents.
oh, no way.
Yeah, and they lasted. But according to them, they fought all the time and they were always angry with each other.
Oh my gosh, hilarious. That's hilarious.
And
But they stayed together.
but they did. So if you got that, you can make the case that she intends them to be together because it happened to her own grandparents. They
Yeah.
were step siblings.
I think she intends them to be together.
So that's interesting if you go from her perspective,
Yeah.
who is the creator. So I mean, ultimately, that's, you know, she's goddess in that perspective.
Yep.
But if they don't last, and this is what a lot of people online pointed out as well, it's like it's a weird story afterwards at family gatherings and things
Yeah. Oh,
to tell the story, and
gosh.
especially like, let's say either characters, Josh or Cher, are getting married in future.
No doubt.
And then they're probably going to be at each other's weddings, and then people have to be like, oh yeah, we hooked up for a while, and people are like, wait a second, aren't you guys? And they'd
They're
have to
like,
do the whole thing, and
"Yeah,
so
we
it,
are,
it's
but we're not
definitely like,
blood."
it's not like, I think they don't really delve into, hey, this might be complicated,
Right.
and maybe as much as they could have, and obviously it's rom-com
That's-
and you're going to give the happy ending, but
Yes.
that part. And then here's
That's
another
true.
really weird part, is that there was a
Okay.
Clueless TV show. That's not the weirdest
Oh,
part,
okay.
but that's kind of weird on its own, and Amy Heckerling was kind of involved with it,
Yeah.
in it. And so that was part of her career arc, because she kind of did that. Fast Times became a TV show.
Oh,
Clueless
okay.
became a TV show. So both things she tried to make TV out of,
Yeah.
because she actually loved TV and cartoons apparently growing up and stuff.
Okay.
But it didn't really work, and they recast Alicia with Rachel Blanchard, who I've maybe heard of, but not really.
Yeah,
So
but
that just
that's your problem right there. But
Yeah.
I guess Alicia maybe thought, oh, I'm going to be too big of a star.
and she was doing other things.
Right.
She wasn't in TV now.
Right.
Even though she started out, did we mention the Aerosmith videos? I meant to mention that with
Oh,
Alicia.
the Aerosmith videos.
Because those were huge, actually.
Right.
And Steven Tyler cast her in those with his daughter after seeing Clueless.
Oh, wow.
And so,
that's creepy.
or right around
That's
then.
just creepy now.
Well, that's the thing, and you know, look it up if you're wondering what Liesel's reacting to. But
Creepy.
it does, that puts, and again, Hollywood, right? It just puts this kind of weird spin
Yeah.
on things that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Especially then, yeah, with the steps, something that you're like, okay. So the reason I brought up the show, the TV show,
Yeah.
is because Paul Rudd appears later as another character, because somehow in the show, the TV show, Josh is gone. He's vanished. The story doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist even?
Basically, yeah. Like, so they got rid of Alicia, and then they basically got rid of Paul Rudd, which were arguably the best things about the movie.
And they got rid of the show.
And it didn't work.
Yeah, no.
So under that, you're like, well, why would, and Amy Heckerling was involved. She wrote and directed some stuff. So it's like, wait a second, did she not want them to be together? So I'm quite confused, actually, about that. It's either her grandparents or Josh just vanishes. So
Okay, weird.
it's one or the other.
Yeah.
All right, far-fetched to real life.
Well, I put a box around far-fetched. But then I was like, something about so many mind-programmed 90s references.
Which is realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like there was a lot about it that was not realistic in any way and was not. But then all that stuff, I was like, yeah, but that is real life, man. That is like mind programming that has happened to me. It's so real. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was
So,
interesting because
a bit of both, I guess.
I came across, I was thinking about stylistic realism is basically what came to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's kind of the strength of the movie in a way, is that setting that she does, where she's able, kind of like Fast Times too, she's able to create these worlds that are very fabricated in a way, but then also come across as really grounded. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. And really, really real.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I like that. That's a good take.
And I'm gonna try to find it. She had a quote about that, and if I find it, I'll let you know. But it was something that she also said that about herself, was, you know, it was very much her aim to do that. Oh, that's what it was. She wanted to set it in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Because it itself is a very stylized, fantastical realm.
That's fair. Yes, that's real.
And so, but then that's what you were saying, is that at the same time, it's grounded in all these realistic notes.
Oh my gosh.
Where you can tell she was in Beverly Hills and basically taking notes.
Yeah.
At that time.
Oh my gosh.
And
so
this is post 90210, Beverly Hills 90210.
Right.
So like that's already in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Everybody's already got the whole thing going on. Like Luke Perry's dropped in the movie.
Oh my gosh, I have that written down sometime later.
This is one of the 90s things.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So yeah, in that sense, like to me, it was actually and just kind of like Fast Times again, like very stylized, like with Forrest Whitaker character and Spicoli and all that. But at the same time, it gets very grounded and very real.
Well, yeah. I mean, the fact that she decides that she wants to make over her soul.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So does the supporting cast work?
Oh my God, I love the supporting cast.
Yeah, we usually do.
I know, it's good. It's important in a rom-com to have a good supporting cast.
Yeah.
And if they work, it's generally going to help the whole entire... If your supporting cast is not working in a rom-com, oof.
Yeah.
That rom-com is probably not going to do very well.
And I was thinking even the dicks are good, like the realtor, no wait, I was flashing on I Love You Man by a second. The lawyer that Paul Rudd argues with.
Oh, that's right.
Like he does such a good job
Yeah, he
of
did
being
do a good
dick.
job.
Like,
totally.
The guy who plays Elton does such a good job about being a dick.
I recognize him from, I don't know.
Yeah, Jeremy Sisto.
Yeah, Jeremy Sisto. He's in things.
I mean, he's a real dick.
He's a real, in the show, absolutely.
Yeah, and he does a lot of bad things actually.
Yeah, no,
in the show.
He's not great.
No,
He's not
especially Post Me Too, but like even then you're just like, look at that guy. What's up with that guy?
I know. Oh my gosh, right? So yeah, Sean Wallace from The Princess Bride.
Wallace Shawn, yeah.
Wallace Shawn. Oh, he's so good, infinitely watchable, so delightful, so funny.
Yeah.
And the woman that he's paired against.
Yeah.
She's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to say something about the dad, because the dad was like, that actor was super iconic. And
Dan Hedaya.
Dan Hedaya.
Yeah,
He
and
was
his
great.
nickname is Dan the Man, by the way. Dan the
Really?
Man Hedaya. and
He was
if you know him,
great.
that's a great nickname.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, both Wallace Shawn and Dan Hedaya that you just mentioned, both Jewish.
Okay, wow. Yep.
Wallace Shawn's 80, Dan Hedaya is 84.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Age.
And well, yeah, I may as well just do it right now. Oh, that's what she called Beverly Hills, a hyper pastel fantasy place.
Ooh, yeah.
Amy Heckerling.
Okay.
Because it's right near where I wrote
like hyper pastels.
what Wallace Shawn got up to in his career, and without going too much into it, but like these guys are like, they both worked, you know, and that's why I just wanted to give them a nod, because
Yeah, for sure.
there's that thing when these guys are in their 80s, like Steve Martin, we were talking about murders, you know, like only murders in the building. Like when guys like that, Martin Short and Steve Martin, are still going, you know.
Yeah.
And then you go back and what their resumes are, and you know, obviously, while Sean was Vicini in Princess Bride, he says that's the thing that he gets recognized by far the most.
I mean, right?
And he said he had a funny quote. He was like, I don't know, maybe those people just go out on the street a lot. And then just like not totally in order, but he's been in Ally McBeal.
Ooh.
He was in that the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer and Paul Rudd. He was in Murphy Brown. He was in The L Word. He was in that Vamps movie with Alicia Silverstone. So she worked with him again, Amy Heckerling.
Yeah.
He was in your show, Young Sheldon.
Oh, right. Oh, I loved him in Young Sheldon.
He was, he's actually a playwright as well. And so projects that were very much theatrical based were Vanya on 42nd Street. My Dinner with Andre are both famous.
Oh, yeah.
He studied at Harvard and Oxford.
Oh, my gosh.
NYC guy again, New York guy. And one of his last, or one of the movies, he was in John Candy's last movie, Canadian Bacon, of all things.
Wow.
Which he played the Canadian Prime Minister in Canadian Bacon.
Amazing.
Which, why not? I'll take Wallace Shawn.
I love Wallace Shawn.
Forget Poilievre and Trudeau. Let's take Wallace Shawn. Wallace Shawn for president.
Right?
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
President too. Why not?
Why not?
Well, Dan
Let's do
Hedaya can be president. There you go. They can balance
they
it
would
off.
like Dan Hedaya as president. I think.
And he was also in Manhattan. You know, going back to Woody Allen days. So that's how
wow.
long like Wallace Shawn's been around. And then Dan Hedaya, that guy works. So these are the working guys. He was Nick Tortelli on Cheers. Remember, he was married to Carla, of course.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's Nick with Carla. The movies he's in, he was in Mulholland Drive. I remember he plays a real bad guy in that. He played Nixon and Dick with Michelle Williams and Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
He was in To Die For. He was in The Usual Suspects.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
check this out. Going back his TV stuff, he was in Kojak. He was in Chips.
Kojak Chips.
He was in St. Elsewhere.
Whoa.
He was in Hill Street Blues.
Oh my God, he was in like all the shows with the most iconic theme songs.
Right?
If a show had an iconic theme song, he was in it.
Well, and you didn't know this, but Miami Vice.
Whoa.
And then Twilight Zone.
Oh my gosh, same thing.
He was in Commando with Arnold.
Wow.
He was in Running Scared, and I only mentioned that because that was Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal, and I really like that movie.
I like that movie too. I watched
You've
that
heard
movie.
of Family Ties? Michael J. Fox.
Gosh, seriously?
He was in that. He was in LA Law. And looping back to Tom Selleck, that's Tom Selleck's big show with a lot of people now on a certain demo. He was in Blue Bloods. So he's that kind of guy. Wallace Shawn,
Wow.
Dan Hedaya.
Wow, there you go. So yes,
They've been in
did
everything.
we enjoy the supporting characters? Yes,
Well, and
we
then
did.
this is the time to talk quick about Brittany Murphy, which is
It is
one
a
of the
time-
saddest stories and says
It's
so much
very-
about Hollywood.
I know, it is actually really sad. R.I.P. Brittany Murphy.
And then it was interesting, she
Yeah.
was paired with Breckin Meyer, who's always that kind of guy. And I realized watching it how much of a
Breckin
Spicoli he
Meyer.
was.
Oh, that's that guy. Okay, yeah.
Like, so Spicoli.
So Spicoli.
Like, remarkably
Oh my
Spicoli.
gosh,
And like
so
very
Spicoli.
positive, you know, that same kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a whole hot take about that whole thing.
Oh.
Well, because it was really interesting. I don't know where to put this, but so let's just talk
Now.
about it. So they go to the party and they actually smoke weed.
Yeah.
Which so often in things, you'll even have stoner movies and you don't see them smoking.
We're the Millers. We meant to mention that. They
Right?
never smoke cannabis the whole time.
Right, like
They
it-
go across the border with
No, whole thing.
crazy amounts
they
of
talk
cannabis.
about it, they don't. So on one hand, I was like, that's awesome that they actually showed that as
Yeah.
a thing, and also showed that like nothing terrible happened. They giggled a bit. They had a fun night, right?
It didn't become a thing
It
in any
wasn't
way.
like some raucous thing where all of a sudden they're like doing some heathenistic reefer madness type situation. That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. But then they took his character
Yep.
at the end, and what do?
Yep. They train wrecked him like they did
train
to
wrecked,
Amy
right?
Schumer.
They clean him up and to be a good person and to fit in. Like that was
And
the
that
thing.
was the one time we saw the weed was at the party.
I know,
We never saw it
I
again.
felt like it was almost like what happened to the 90s and to grunge, where it
No
was like,
doubts.
oh, you can't be different and you can't be outside the norm. You need to be wealthy and popular. And in order to be a good person and wealthy and popular, you can't smoke weed or be
Yeah.
a skateboarder.
Gotta clean it up.
Or, you gotta, and the propaganda.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So on one hand, I was like, well, that's cool that they showed that. But then the way they took it with the end that way, I was just like, oh, okay.
Well, and especially that lawyer, right? Like she's making money off lawyer money, and is there any demographic of society profession that's hated more than lawyers, right?
Yeah. No kidding. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that about his character that way, because it was like, oh, now he's a good person. Now he's worthy of Brittany Murphy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't smoke cannabis. But before, when he was smoking cannabis and
Well, and her
skateboarding,
too. They cleaned
even
her up
though-
too.
Yeah, like even though we did it at a party with him and that was cool,
Yeah.
you can't keep doing it.
No, and she did at the
gotta-
beginning, right? So she's also cleaned up. So
Yes,
like
that's
they
right.
definitely the you know,
Oh
the-
yeah, they totally upped her that way, and we're
Yeah.
like, oh, now you're clean cut.
And now that
now you'll be successful.
because almost like they were California sober, because like there wasn't a lot of drinking. Now that I think about it,
No, in terms of we watch
like a high
so
school movie,
many
yeah, and we're
rom-coms
always
and
like
stuff
drinking.
Where there's like, oh my
you
gosh,
can do that on
so
the movies
much.
sometimes. People is you just watch the movies and just you're like anytime you see drinking, just be like drinking.
Drinking.
And it's amazing how many like if you actually did drink, you'd be playing a drinking game. Of how
my
many times
gosh.
people drink
Seriously,
in movies, and you'd be drinking all the
I'd
time.
be drinking all the time. Yeah.
So who stole the show?
Okay, well, I want to hear what you. No, you first, because I go first a lot. So I want to hear you go first.
That's true. I was wondering actually when you'd go there, because I often do that first, and then I get your answer first. To me, I went back and forth a little bit because I almost wanted to say Paul Rudd actually.
Okay.
Like, and I didn't want to because he's the lead, and that's easy, and we're not supposed to, stealing the show is like it was kind of his show to steal anyway, because he's the one who sweeps the lead off her feet. So I disqualified him, but
Okay.
he just cracked me up, and like his costumes, like you said, like the first thing he did with the fridge in the kitchen, and like
so
right from then
funny.
he was just the pouting, like he'd seen all the movies and he had read all the books.
I know.
He'd read all the Nietzsche, like,
Right?
and he was just ready. And like for those who have lived through that time, like
Oh,
I was like,
God.
I'm pretty sure I wore some of his outfits.
I know,
And I'm
seriously.
pretty sure I knew so many guys who did that.
Oh, I'm
and,
pretty
like the
sure
shades
I
and
had
everything.
crushes on all those guys. I was like, oh, are they so smart, but they're a little bit bad boy, but they're kind of sad about it, but like also not really, but they also have a lot of money. I am in.
Yeah, and they listen to a lot of complaint rock, like.
yes to all of that. Thank you.
So that says a lot about the person she ended up marrying, probably in a lot of ways. But
Really?
so for me, it was Dan Hedaya, though. Dan the
Oh,
man.
interesting.
I thought he stole it. He got my best part of the movie, and like just some of the stuff he did, like like the moment where he's like, "Get out of my chair," and then he sits down. What is this crap? We're gonna have a nice dinner, and he answers the phone, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "What?" And it's always like, "I told you, I'll do it in the morning." Like that stuff just cracked me up. And again, maybe it's because of my age, but like the fact that Clueless that I thought he stole the show said a lot.
That's really funny. Well, I mean, maybe this isn't like a show stealer person, because
Well,
you were
yeah.
saying like Paul Rudd, but I thought Alicia.
Well, I'll let you do it.
I just, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't necessarily hers to steal, because that was hard. She's carrying the whole thing. But she was great. I thought she was really great. I thought she was really enjoyable. All her whining that she did. And then she'd be on the floor like, oh my God, hilarious.
Well,
Like-
yeah. And this is actually a good time for me to defend your choice in a lot of ways, because like her character itself has a lot of issues actually. And I know
Yeah.
she does a soul makeover, but like
for sure.
she's actually coming a long way.
She is coming a long way.
And
Yeah, no, that's very true.
oh, there was a flicker we just heard there.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, you just heard it again.
Yeah.
And like right away, like, do we like the lead or not, right? Like she blows through the stop sign, she crashes through the pot right at the beginning. Like she's
Yeah.
a terrible frickin' driver,
Terrible driver.
endangering lives.
Yeah.
There's an Ike and Tina joke in there, by the way,
Oh,
right off the
gosh.
hop.
Yeah,
We
that's
talked about the
right.
liposuction thing.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd gropes her one time in the kitchen quick. It's a little like
No,
tickly,
just-
kind of gropey.
No, that's just flirting. That's just tickling her stomach. She liked that moment. She remembers it fondly. She wanted it.
There was consensual yes signs.
Yes.
She was very spoiled with her valet's thing.
So spoiled. Like I need to think, so I'm gonna go shopping.
The R word is used.
I mean, this is a later category, is it not rewrite? I'm not rewriting yet.
No, but I'm kind of going just about her character. This is specifically, but I'm coming back to it. I'm gonna defend her. I'm flipping it around here.
Okay.
Because then she gave the bad Brittany Murphy advice. Right?
Yes,
She
she
lies about
did.
Brittany Murphy and Elton.
She does. She does all sorts of things that are
Like
not great.
really bad things.
Yeah.
And that's why the movie works and she has to be in it, and why the TV show didn't work, is because she is so winnable.
Yeah.
Winning. She's so winning.
She is.
And she does win you over because
Yes.
she's so compelling.
Yes.
And what's really neat is how she's willing to show herself very much old school comedian, where she's willing to have like a funny face at
Right.
times.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially when she's whining and doing that,
my
like she's not
God.
afraid to frown and pout and
So
sulk and
funny.
and then conversely, when she smiles, that's what really actually stood out for me. And like when she smiles and laughs, she almost looks like a completely different person. And it's like the difference between the two, like the clown and the beauty queen.
Yeah.
And it was like the beauty queen stood out for me this time in a way. Like, as normally I just used to the clown, but like there were some times where she's smiling and doing stuff where you're like, oh my God, like look at her. Like,
oh my God, her hair was everything I've ever wanted.
Well, I mean, we're almost at hair. So we are at hair. Let's do it. Let's go there.
Okay, well then, yeah, like iconic. First of all, the hair and makeup, like there's very iconic. So many Halloween costumes. I feel like I've seen more Halloween costumes about Clueless than I have the movie.
Well, Taylor Swift does a whole segment of her era's wardrobe based on it, basically.
Yeah, so kudos to the hair and makeup department because her hair is absolutely
and
fabulous in it. The costumes are amazing. The skater boys costumes with their pants falling down all the time so low.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, they're so funny. It's so funny. And I've said that before in a talkie-walkie, but if you can make me laugh just with your costume choices, costume people, you are doing a good job. If all that has to come on screen is me see somebody and see what you've chosen to put them in and I laugh, then yes to those costumes. Hilarious. Would you not say?
Well, and then it was interesting for me because I noticed in the credits the assistant costume person's name was Lisa Evans. And then watching I Love You Man, she was then the main costume person. So I don't know how much she had to do with that. And the woman's name was Mona. I can't remember the last name though. I wrote it down, but
the costumer?
there you go, middle age, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And apparently, like she did get a ton of acclaim off of it. And the makeup thing with Amy Heckerling, she talked about how when she was sitting in the school listening to thing, we got the sunset, by the way, for those who are listening at home, that's lovely. And down there is where Shakespeare was performing back in the day. Yeah. Speaking of Love's Labour is Lost. The makeup, that people were just putting on makeup all the time. Like she said, the girls were just always doing makeup. Right. So like subtly the makeup was actually a really important part of the movie. Yeah. And almost like the diet thing, it was very subtle, but like everybody always had it going on.
Oh, constantly lip gloss. You're always reapplying your lip gloss.
Yeah.
But that's now with old Hailey Bieber there in her road. Everyone's applying their lip gloss and she's all like, check out all these people applying lip gloss, everybody. It's amazing. So again, was Clueless commenting about the times or... Yeah, like what?
Chicken and egg.
Right?
The plaid pink pajamas she had on were amazing.
Right.
Her plaid workout gear was amazing.
Yeah.
And then she said, Mona, that she was playing it off of the Catholic schoolgirl uniform, of course.
Right, of course, makes sense, yes.
And then I didn't, the Paul Rudd's costumes were amazing, like I said. Like everything he wore was just like again, I knew 20 guys who wore those kind of clothes.
Yeah.
But his hair, I didn't like his hair. It was like, they could do a way better job with Paul Rudd's hair.
No,
it always looked like he had a ball cap on and he'd just taken it off.
It was a bit schleppy. That was the whole point.
Maybe that was the point.
That was the point. He's like schleppy. He's like grunge guy. He's like, I don't really care.
Maybe that worked.
I just woke up like this. That's why he's hot as a girl, because you're like, whoa.
Oh, the frumpy.
You've literally put no time into yourself.
He doesn't even care.
Still that hot.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Okay.
Look at you go.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's real.
Okay. I
thing.
dig that. And yeah, his whole college thing, like you could just imagine him at college, right? And
oh my gosh.
what it was like and what he was like and what he learned there and everything.
So funny.
All right, is the music vibing? And that includes the soundtrack and sound cues. And
so very, very vibing.
Yeah.
Like so vibing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like it was hot from right at the beginning. It was like, we are going to play hit after hit for one thing.
Kids in America.
Oh my God, Kids in America, so good. The hits, no doubt. Counting Crows.
Yeah.
So
speaking of so 90s.
Paul Rudd's music was hilarious. Complaint rock, she called it.
Yeah.
Complaint rock. Every time he's in his car, it's like something that's so like not quite Morrissey, but basically,
Yeah.
Kinda, oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Well, Cranberries, because Elton wants to get his Cranberry CD earlier on for no reason, we don't know why. Right. And then later when she's in the car with him, of course it's Cranberries.
Cranberries.
Yeah, there you go. And Brittany Moore. Brittany Murphy. I was just going to say Mandy Moore. There's a Mandy Moore song.
Oh, there's a Mandy Moore.
There's a Jewel song. There's a Salt and Pepper song.
Salt and Pepper.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
There's a No Doubt in there, I think.
Yep, No Doubt. Just a Girl. Luscious Jackson. Beastie Boys. David Bowie, who's always been big, obviously.
Wow.
Coolio was the Rolling one that got mentioned. One of my homies got mentioned like 3 different times.
Oh, that's right. That was Coolio.
Yep.
Okay.
Right at the opening montage, right? It was like a music video.
Yep.
Like she did that with Fast Times too. Come in hot like that.
Yeah.
World Party, which for fans of the Waterboys know that like that's a hilarious 90s band that nobody even knows anymore.
Okay, yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, I mean, it was
The
incredibly.
mighty boss tones.
Well, that was the one you're like, really? Like the mighty boss tones, eh? Like they're the ones
and then,
live?
Okay, and then again, so is the one guy with the dark hair in the mighty boss tones, was his whole job just to be the hype man and dance?
I think so.
Because then how do I get that job? I want, if any of you need a hype person that way, middle age, still has pretty good knees, looking to get in shape, I am there for you. I can
wear a
hype.
costume?
Like if there's something I can do, it's hype.
Yeah,
you know,
you wear a plaid suit.
I will wear whatever.
And then
as
the
long
other
as
guy
it
just
has
kind of
some
like
good support.
the other
I
guy
will
just
wear
kind
it.
of mean mugs the whole time, you know?
Yeah, he does. That's so weird. His
Yeah.
mean mug is like the weirdest. You're like, who are you growling at?
Yeah, what is
You're
happening?
at a high school dance. What are you freaking out about?
And so ska right there, like there's a ska band
Right.
in the movie, and
At
it's
the
live
high
at
school
the
band.
ska band.
Oh my gosh.
90s. And again, for
90s.
those who didn't go through the 90s, you don't even know
You don't
how
even
big
know.
ska
Oh,
was.
ska.
Ska had its
I mean,
time, and it
skateboard
was.
and ska.
was
come
everything.
On. Like, woof.
And then in the
With
terms of
hacky sacks,
the
like-
sound cues, I thought were interesting. Like they were funny. Like they did the mobile phone monolith 2001 thing, which
That's
I thought was a
right.
bit heavy-handed.
That
I don't know
was-
if I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it did get a bit soundtracky, some heavy at the time.
Yeah,
that's
like the
fair.
white dress moment was maybe a little schlocky in the soundtrack department. It was like when he sees her, the moment you were talking about, the staircase with the white dress.
I don't mind a bit of soundtrack schlock.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't fully pull me out, and I didn't feel like it, like I wasn't telling it to fuck off, you know?
And then there was nothing I complained about.
Yeah,
And if
like,
anything, it
wasn't
was
like-
appropriate.
And because sometimes I actually get mad at the soundtrack.
Right.
So
Yeah,
then
you
you know
never-
the soundtrack's not doing well if I'm actually like, okay, I'm mad at you now.
Yeah, because that's kind of the opposite of vibing if you're mad at the soundtrack.
Yeah, I feel
so.
like I'm like actually mad. So.
And then there was the moment in a bit, which I'll talk more about, but the fountain moment with the sound cue too was pretty iconic that way.
Fountain.
Yeah, when the realization moment when this fountain lights up behind her.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll talk
yeah.
more about it
Okay.
in a second
When?
category.
Why? in a
So could
second?
it use a rewrite? I can take that one because for me it was the age gap.
Yeah, the age gap. I mean,
Um,
they use the R word, which
I
wasn't
meant to mention
great,
that earlier.
but
Yeah,
it does,
with problematic things.
It does show the time.
Oh yeah.
And it did make me cringe. Like I was like, oh
Yeah.
God, that's not great.
Because for the record,
But
people
then-
use that word very freely in the 90s.
Yeah, very freely. And we didn't know better, so we weren't doing better, you know.
I didn't
and
really say it much myself, and I didn't
Oh,
even
good
know
for
it was
you.
bad. It just wasn't one of my favorite words to use anyway.
that's
you know?
good.
Yeah, it's not the
you're a
most
good
fun
person.
to say, and it's just as a word itself
I
too.
used
so.
it too often. I will admit, it's terrible.
Well, you've learned though. You
I
know,
have
now that
learned.
you know better, you do
I know,
better.
I do. I know
Oh,
better.
here's another bear sign
I
up
know.
here.
Oh God! And then I saw a garbage bag, and I was like, "Is that a bear?"
That's a
It's
bear.
Oh my God! It's
And then there
the
was also a
bear.
fire here. Oh yeah, look, that tree got burnt ahead of us and
Where?
stuff.
Which? Oh gosh,
This
it
whole
did.
section burnt up. Oh yeah, and they've kind of
Oh
replanted
yeah,
it
look
already.
at that. Oh wow.
Man.
It burnt.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've been up here before when there was a fire like that. It didn't get this big, but
That is wild.
we got to it
They
quicker
just have
before.
the bear in the area though all the time. Is there
yeah,
always a bear
like
in
all
this
the time.
area? Oh my gosh. Okay, well we're talking loud.
But see, the interesting thing, again, flipping it, is it was the best screenplay according to the National Film Critics Association and Women in Film.
it was a great script.
And then that's the thing, it was actually an
It was
amazing...
actually a really great script.
So other than some of the things that I talked about,
But then I don't know if I would rewrite those.
look, it was all
because-
burnt right to beside us here too, like went right up to the
yeah.
playground.
Oh wow. But I don't know if I'd rewrite that.
Well, I got a proposal for
Okay.
right at the end.
Okay. Oh, you got a proposal. Okay, so you're
Well,
still
close.
got a hot take.
In the things to be learned, I got something
okay.
there.
Okay.
So
sounds
yeah, so did it need a rewrite? Like that was the thing. On the other hand, it was the strength of the movie was the script. And
Yeah.
like we said, she obviously did immerse herself in the environment, and
Yeah.
we got all the things. And
Yeah.
this might be a good time actually for me to do my list, if I may,
Okay. Yeah. Do your list.
because these are things that are just like
Okay.
super 90s. We'll do it in the burnt landscape, the charred
okay.
land.
The charred land. I like that.
So all
Love
just the
sound of
90s
setting.
things that just stood out for me, like the pants down, the low pants, like
Low
that just
pants.
started then. That never existed
Amazing.
until right then.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Her high school boy monologue, you can look it up. It's amazing.
yeah,
About how they're all stinky and
right.
smelly and you just basically can't deal with them.
Yep.
The antenna cell phone, like you mentioned.
Yep.
The Kenny G. And some of these are quotes and some of these are just things. So environmental law, like you said.
Yeah.
Ducats, she said. Boink Fest, Babe Drought, Cliff's Notes, like as a thing. Those were a thing.
Yeah,
Cliff's
Cliff's
Notes.
Notes were a thing.
Crimson Wave.
Oh my God, no. What she said was, are we on memorable quotes? Because that's in my memorable quotes.
Oh wait, yeah, I can wait till then. Let's
yeah.
wait till then.
Yeah, wait till the memorable quotes.
Yeah, let's wait till then. I'll
'cause
stop
I
my
have
list
that
there.
whatever.
So you get an
is-
idea. But there's a good example
Yeah.
of the script being amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have a lot of
and then I'll finish it up with the quotes, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, I don't know, would we rewrite it? Maybe not. But on the other hand, I might do my one simple solution, which you might not agree with.
Okay.
So recasting agency.
I said no, they're all iconic. Don't recast them.
A couple of things I heard was Ben Affleck and Zach Braff
Ew.
went for the Paul Rudd thing.
No.
And then for whatever reason, Amber was a role that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Zooey Deschanel went after. Don't know why.
Yeah,
And then Reese apparently met with
No.
Amy Heckerling
No.
about the role.
No.
But as we say, I
No.
mean, Alicia stole the show for
Yeah,
you. So
she stole the show for me, so no.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm not recasting anybody, even
There
with
you
the
go.
age gap. Controversial, but I'm not.
Well, no, but see, that it was okay because she was 18,
Right.
right? Like if she was 17, you'd probably say, yeah, they probably should have recast it.
Yes. That's true.
Brittany Murphy, by the way, was 17.
Oh, was
And she had to have the Guardian whole thing on set.
Oh, I'm glad that there was somebody for her.
So problems and issues. I've kind of gone there already a bit. There you go. There's my age gap again.
Yeah.
And it was weird because, like I said, she says this is California, not Kentucky, but then it is actually illegal in California for them to hook up.
Right.
So that was a bit confusing that she even mentioned it and brought attention to it.
I have that the 90s were a problem
It
and
was
an
the
issue.
90s.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not so much in the writing of the movie, it's more like the 90s themselves.
Yeah.
Like I said, like the movie itself squished the free-thinking, nonconformist weed skateboarder, right?
Yep.
This movie did that to grunge
Yep.
and helped pave the way for the tryhards and the ass-kissers of
No
today.
doubt. It's like half midway point of the 90s. There you go.
Right? It was just like,
Grunge was
don't
popular
don't
early
think for
90s.
yourself.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this grunge music. What you want to do is, like, you want to remake over your soul, so you're being kind and you're being good and you're giving.
And we're revealing that we
But-
grew up in the grunge time.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I was grunge. I was definitely, I had my Doc Martens, I had my things that way. I was I still am nonconformist,
Yeah.
I would say.
We were going to the Pearl Jam and the Soundgarden concert.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I put. And I mean, it was the 90s that were the problem and issue around that.
It
That
was
was
the
the
90s.
movie just showing that.
Yeah, and there was lots of non-consensual kissing, which there was in the 90s. Elton must
Yep.
have non-consensually kissed her about 3 times.
Oh my God, I know. He
Including
kept-
open mouth, like.
Right?
And she was like,
Kept just
"Ah."
leaning in. She's like, gross every time. And
Yeah.
he's like, whatever.
And then she's like, Brittany Murphy, hook up this guy who keeps just non-consensually kissing
Yeah,
me.
he's like such a tart.
A lot of bad
It's
driving,
terrible, I said.
which was very 90s. They loved that in the 80s and 90s, was bad driving and
Yes.
almost crashing and various
Yeah.
things.
Very funny. It's very funny to be a bad driver.
Nobody had bar IDs. They got to go to the bar and they got to drink. Like in a lot of ways that was 90s because
What bar did
sometimes
they
you
go to?
couldn't believe the girls
bar?
got into the bar sometimes.
When did they go to the bar?
I don't know, with Christian, wasn't that? Didn't they went in the bar and the theater thing, wasn't there? The date that she goes on with Christian.
That's right. I guess maybe. I don't really remember that part. Cool. I just watched it last night. We're fine.
It was like a club, you know? Like,
Yeah, okay.
It was something like that.
Yeah. Something like that.
And then just the fact that if you think that, yeah, they met when she was 9 and he was 12 and 13. Like on one
Right.
hand, that's cute. But on the other hand, you're like, yeah, but then they were kind of like in the house together. And just, you know, it was like, it's a bit strange. It's just a bit strange.
It is a, it's
when
a
you're
bit.
telling the story, you know?
It's a bit strange.
And then somebody made the point, which I thought was a good one, which was if the dad, like let's say they break up or whatever, but let's say the dad then, because he was in bad health, so maybe he doesn't live the longest,
Yeah.
then she doesn't have any family.
No.
So then he's now her only family member.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
again makes things awkward for like whatever
Whatever
inheritances
reason
or whatever's
something
going on
happens.
and
Yeah.
whatever's going forward for them. So, you know,
Yep.
that, and then I thought there was another interesting thing where, and again, Hollywood, was the Crush movie, which I saved for this because that was kind of the first thing that Alicia was known for right
Oh,
before Clueless, and it was
Yeah.
with Carrie Elways
Okay.
of Princess Bride fame, which we
Yeah.
might be doing sometime in the Talkie Walkies.
Yeah, we might be doing that.
And I don't know, did you see that one?
I don't know.
It's about, it was a director's real life story, and he cast Alicia in it, and she's supposed to be 14 in the movie,
Okay.
and Carrie Elways' character is supposed to be 28,
Oh dear.
and she basically is the blank from hell who gets a crush on him
Oh god.
and goes after him basically.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, and it gets all Fatal
Oh.
Attraction-y. And, you know, for me, it was like, that's just kind of weird, the age gap thing.
Right.
If you take that she played that role right beforehand,
Yeah.
with a 28 and 14,
Yeah.
and then now she is with a 16-year-old with a an adult.
Right.
So again, Hollywood, you're just like, that's just all just a little weird, and
Yeah.
and again, I have a solution.
Okay.
Should it have won awards?
No.
There's her name. Mona May for costumes is what I said.
Oh, you know
And
what?
Mona May.
Yes,
Her
that's
name's Mona May.
fair enough. You know what?
Right?
Yes.
Because we always
She
say no,
abs-
but I was like, wait a
You know
second.
what? That is very true. She should have won
Right?
for costumes.
Iconic.
Probably at the time they didn't even give the costume and hair award.
I'm sure they
'Cause
did.
it's just-
it was
isn't it
probably
recent?
something we could look it up,
Maybe
but it
we
was
could
probably
look it
something poncy. But
It probably
these are
was
our
poncy.
awards, and we're giving her our
Yeah.
award.
Yeah.
Talkie-walkies.
Yeah,
giving her
that's
award.
a great call. I love that.
Costumes.
Yes, Jeffrey. Yes.
Most cinematic moment.
Okay. So I found this one also hard because it's not really a cinematic movie,
Yeah.
kind of. But I said the kiss at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, I mean it's iconic.
I mean, it's
and-
iconic. It's kind of cinematic.
Yeah.
It was an interesting angle. The stairs were all big and
Yeah.
rich and beautiful.
Funny enough, mine was right after that. It was the jump
Oh.
cut to the Wallace-Shawn wedding.
Oh.
And the reason I thought it to be cinematic, because the way they framed it, we were supposed to think it was her
Right.
and Josh
That's
based on
right.
the
And
cut
then she was
from
like,
the kiss.
"Ew, as
Yeah,
if."
as if, exactly. So that's classic cinema, where you
That
get a
is.
gag from your edit
Yeah.
and the voiceover on top of it, and it all
Right.
combines to get a good
Yeah.
laugh.
Okay,
And
fair.
especially right at the end of the
Fair.
movie, that was funny,
Ooh,
right?
Do you see the moon over there?
Yeah,
I'll
show
get to
us.
it, guys.
You
I'll
probably
slow
can't
pan
see
it.
it, but
I don't know if you can see it, but
it's right near the peak over there.
yeah.
Again, this is a lovely night, and they did say it was going to get sunnier, so they finally got there.
It is right there. Yeah, it did finally get there.
And then also that fountain moment where she discovers that she loves Josh, and the lighting cue, it all lights up purple
Right.
behind her, the sound cue goes off.
Yes,
And then they
that-
go
you
into
know
that flashback realization
one,
montage where
yeah.
then we see, because there wasn't really any
Right.
flashbacks, so we see that
No,
one
you're
moment where...
right. Okay. God, good thing you're around. I'm just like, whatever.
By the way, the
no.
music, I meant to say with the music and the vibing, there was All By Myself, where there was a hilarious slow-mo. There was one slow-mo of Paul Rudd in the whole movie, but it was a slow-mo of
Oh,
Paul Rudd.
that's
All
right.
by
Oh my
myself.
gosh. Paul Rudd in slow-mo is hilarious.
Yeah, well, that was it. He was
Oh
so
my
funny
gosh,
in the slow-mo.
So funny.
Okay, when did it make you weep? Did it make you weep?
Like as if. No, I
As
said
if?
I had a fleeting feeling of it at the end, but I think it was just. It was like the whole thing put together, and the nostalgia, and me realizing programming and just things. You know, it was a lot of that.
So it was like an internal
Yeah,
weeping.
it wasn't so much maybe about like the movie.
It was weeping for
affecting
the
me that
loss of
way,
innocence before the
right?
programming.
Right, and the loss of grunge and just stuff like that.
That's deep. I love that you had that's a beautiful story that you had that reaction to it.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. And I do weep, at least I could say, and often, but I didn't weep at this movie.
No,
so
no
that's
weeping. I mean, I think if I wasn't
know.
having that reaction, I don't think I would have wept. So.
the only part was the dad and the daughter a little tiny bit, maybe
Oh,
got, but
yeah.
like not really, but
even.
just maybe a little bit.
Okay, fair enough.
So memorable quotes. I went
So
through
good.
half of mine, but
Okay.
what are yours?
Well, what she said was serving the crimson wave.
Yeah.
Serving the crimson wave, which I'm like, now there's a whole thing about what things are serving. So I'm like, is that
Right.
slang today being influenced still from Clueless, and do people even realize that? Things like Audi, like,
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm like, did I learn that from Clueless? Did I say that before? Because I've been saying that forever and I never realized. And then she was like, Audi, and I was like, oh my God, that's what I say. I say Audi. I don't know. I used to say Audi like Saudi, but then I don't know about Saudi. So anyway.
Oh, I meant to mention that earlier. Dan Hedaya is Syrian, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His family is
Jeez.
Sephardic
That
Jews.
is wild.
Yeah.
As if.
Yeah.
As if was huge.
Yeah.
That was a really huge one.
Yeah.
Whatever, especially when you did the W with your fingers. Whatever.
Yeah.
That was huge. That she was saving herself for Luke Perry. R.I.P. Luke
Yeah.
Perry.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cute and fun. That they were going to see the new Christian Slater movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was delightful. She calls him a couch commando because he's stealing. You're already a couch commando because he's stealing the remote. Delightful. But mainly, I think as if and whatever, I think were really big.
And then there
And
was
the fact that I said Audi forever.
and then there was Earth to Share.
Earth to share.
They mentioned turkey bacon,
turkey.
herbal refreshment, Buns of Steel. We mentioned Mars and Venus book,
Yeah.
Brainiacs,
Yep.
Freshman Psych, Ralphing, skateboarding so 5 years ago basically, Chronic Shit.
Oh, yeah.
We mentioned Complaint Rock.
Yep.
I'm
Complaint
still
Rock.
baked. Pit Hospitality. What happened to the Pit Hospitality when he dies off the stage? Pit Hospitality. The puking in the pool is just, that
Oh my
happens,
God.
and all sorts of things. The Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
It's a bigger disaster than Malibu. Everywhere in LA is 20 minutes.
Yep.
I'm having a Twin Peaks experience.
I'm having a twin. I love that. I'm having a Twin Peaks experience.
Shame Spiral.
Shame spiral.
The hacky sacking. So again, these aren't quotes, but they're things that she wrote in the
Yeah.
script. So I'm giving it to her. It was
Yeah.
in the stage directions.
Yeah.
Hack sack. Slackers.
Yeah.
There were some gay slurs.
There were some gay slurs. That was one thing. I wasn't sure when they sort of like outed the new hot boy
Yeah.
as being gay. It was kind of uncomfortable at first,
Yeah.
but then they didn't treat it uncomfortable and they were fine with him being gay, and she actually was really good friends with him and it was all okay.
Yeah.
So at first I was just like, ooh, a bit cringe, but then it actually was like, well, no, it's actually okay. So.
The Some Like It Hot and Sporadicus. Ren and Stimpy was in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Kind of a Baldwin.
Kind of a Baldwin.
So dope.
No, it was like hot, kind of hot like a Baldwin.
Yeah, kind of hot like
It
a
was
Baldwin.
kind of hot like a Baldwin.
Brewskis. They mentioned Pauly Shore. So right there, that's about as
Yeah.
90s as you can get.
Yeah.
Memorable quotes. There's a lot of them.
So many.
Things
so
to be
many.
learned.
I had,
Things
yeah,
to
there were
be learned.
things to be learned. Look at all the programming. So much programming. And I think that was the thing, watching it was like, just look at all this that we're being shown. What are we being programmed now that we're going to look back on in that same way and go, wow, look at all that programming. Look at what we were being shown. That's what I learned.
This one for me, as I'm giving my solution, things to be learned, is
Okay.
maybe when you make the Emma remake in a modern setting, maybe make it about a freshman college girl.
Right.
And she's 18,
Okay, yeah.
and then maybe he's a senior.
Okay.
And so you make her a legal adult. You start there
Yeah.
because you're just like,
Don't make it high school.
well, or me, I mean, some people are 18 at the end of high school or whatever, like come up with some reason why that or something, but
Right. But we
So-
don't want it in the grad year. So it, and then,
Right.
but then I think that's what's hard about the freshman year is that it carries this whole thing of being, then your movie's more about freshman year. It's
you
hard.
could still pull that off, you could still
Yeah.
do all the stuff that you did. But I guess, yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be the same thing about sex, but for some people going to the high school or going to college is like their first time out in the world, and they maybe had a really protected high school, because you
For
knew
sure.
you mentioned that, some
For sure.
university girls in their first year who were pretty
Yeah. I
inexperienced
think
in
it's
terms of
just
what they
that,
knew.
It's almost like it would have to be your second year or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's just not so fresh. She's been there because that's the thing. We got that feeling of comfort of her being comfortable of ruling
Yeah.
the school,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
she wouldn't
Okay.
be if that was her
Yeah.
freshman. So maybe I'll do that.
She's a
but-
sophomore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I learned is that,
Yeah.
just so people then aren't having that experience years later was, I just watched Clueless on the Netflix recently, and
Right.
oh my God, what the heck, and what is going on with that? And
Right.
There's a lot of stuff on TikTok about that, and
Right.
so yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So things to be learned. Just maybe do that. Maybe just
Yeah.
make her a legal adult.
Yeah. For example.
So it looks better upon reflection.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Here we go. We've reached the end. Would it work as a first date movie?
You have to go first this one.
No. I think we're often different on this
I
one.
think we disagree every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Why not?
Because of the reasons I stated.
Okay.
Because you could have that reaction if especially if a woman was there and let's say you even had an age gap between your thing, there might be
Okay.
that realization of like, wait a second, what's going on?
Yeah.
Or they might be totally into that if that was the case because they support it. But there was kind of that thing of like, for people who don't like lovey-dovey stuff or fashion or, guys, and again, I like romantic comedies as much as the next person.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a ton in it for those people, like you didn't like even which again, rightfully
okay.
so, but like the mid-90s
Yeah,
guys
fair.
that Paul Rudd was playing
Yeah.
get rightfully mocked in the movie and,
Yeah,
and often.
they're not gonna like it.
That's the thing. Like they might
No.
not like that. They might see themselves too much in it and be like,
Okay.
or maybe they've
maybe-
also hooked up with a high school minor and they're like, oh my God, I'm like Wooderson in Days Confused. Like, so that was my thing. It was like,
Maybe if it's a lesbian date movie.
well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. That could work.
Okay.
Yeah, like, so if the guys are involved, but even, if you're a lesbian, you might not like lovey-dovey stuff.
well, I don't know. That's no.
But you could be somebody who doesn't like fashion, or
Okay.
doesn't like all the materialism
That's
or
true. That's
that kind of
true.
stuff. So
I thought it would be a good date movie because I thought it was funny and fun, and there was just so many like jokes and cultural references and things to talk about. I think it just like brought up a lot of things to talk about in terms of the quotes and the cultural references and also the programming that way. Like, but I do hear what you're saying also. Yes.
So if you got taken on that date, you would be like, that's great. Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I probably would. I'd be like, funny. She fell off the bed, funny. I don't know. It's good.
So I think that was the biggest revelation for me at this Talkie-Walkie vidcast walking video podcast is the relation you had with your own life and
Yeah,
and
for sure.
the programming and the
Yeah.
consumerism
Oh my
and
gosh.
the death of grunge. Like
All of that. I know. That
yeah.
was wild. It was super wild.
in that sense, it is very zeitgeisty, but maybe
Yes.
not in the best way.
Maybe not, but it really feels like a historical relic. And overall, I really enjoyed it. I had a really great time. I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
It was more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. The whole like middle-aged perspective that way
Yeah.
kind of surprised me that I was just sort of I think it was just more about, yeah, wow, look at the programming I got. Where did that come from? This movie? Or was this movie just referencing it? Whew.
That's a lot for a rom-com.
It's a lot.
That doesn't happen in most rom-coms when we're
No, it
watching
didn't
them.
happen to Roxanne. I wasn't like, oh, my life flashing before my eyes.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's stuck around, and I think that's why it's sort of stayed relevant, is because it's really showing you a piece of what that looked like, and it felt pretty on the nose. I mean, yes, it was in Beverly Hills, so it wasn't everybody's experience that way, but in terms of sort of the fashion and the slang and the whole feel of it,
Yeah.
and the idea that, yeah, wealth and popularity are so important, and we'll just give you a makeover and your life will be better, like all those kind of things.
Yes, it was a turning point in the programming of the culture.
Potentially, yeah, because then I had that idea of, back in the day, we had terms like tryhards,
Yeah.
right? And we keep saying about how like now everybody wants to be a tryhard, and back in the day it wasn't cool to be a tryhard, to like fit in with the system and the programming, and to be like, yeah, I'm so gonna kiss ass and do this because I want to be so goody two shoes and everything. That was a tryhard. It was like, that's not cool.
And in a sense, Cher is a tryhard.
She is a tryhard.
And we're celebrating the tryhard.
We are so celebrating the tryhard.
Yeah, and so is Josh to a certain degree.
Absolutely, he totally is, right?
One quick thing, by the way, that popped in my head that I meant to mention earlier: the Stacey Dash who plays the friend. We haven't mentioned her at all.
That's right.
She, because she's pretty great in the movie.
Yeah, she's not terrible.
She's 26. She's 28.
She does look the oldest.
Yeah, like even 2 years older than Paul Rudd, who's 26.
No, she does look the oldest of everyone. Yeah.
And she became, like, talk about the change of things. She became a
Right.
Fox News TV personality.
That's right.
And she went pro-Trump.
Yeah.
And then she's kind of backed down from all that now and disavows it all.
Oh, interesting.
But in terms
Okay.
of her career arc, she definitely went on a big thing of that.
Right.
That's all anybody was associating with her.
Yeah.
So there's always that. He was in a lot of those movies back in the day, and Hugh
Mm.
Grant's even answering questions about being in movies with him now. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't, in that sense that, like, if you're talking about the death of grunge, you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about then the final death throes of whatever resistance there was to the Reaganomic 80s.
Yes.
And then now with that, it's like, okay, so it's interesting that, one of the main characters in the movie itself ended up getting
Yeah.
heavily influenced and going down that road even more.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, the Jewish Horowitzes come off looking pretty liberal by contrast because of where the world ends up going from that point.
Right.
And that's what's fascinating. I mean, I may as well bring it up. We talk about peace in the Middle East, but with the Jewish aspect of this movie, it is fascinating that doesn't really get talked about much in the movie at all.
I had no idea.
Right. And then even though, you've got, just like Dirty Dancing, people don't realize it's a Jewish movie,
Right.
and
Yeah.
unless you're
No
Jewish,
idea.
you pick
Yeah.
up on it. And
Yeah.
so in that aspect too, that that a movie like that is so popular and so at the zeitgeist in LA at the time, and Beverly Hills, which was 90210 and everything, and that fact doesn't even get talked about, even though we're living in a world right now that is, more anti-Semitic, at least in this part of the world, than it ever has been. It's definitely interesting that a cultural relic, like you say, time capsule, of a time, you know, doesn't get painted with that brush in any
No.
way, which is
Yeah.
kind of reassuring in a way. And that they got to
Yeah.
create this, all
Yeah.
these Jewish people and Jewish legends like Dan Hedaya and Wallace Shawn.
Yeah.
And, you know, even Paul Rudd, he says he's not that religious, but, you
Yeah.
know, he does identify as Jewish. And
Yeah.
so there we are for, you know, doing that movie at this time. For being a problematic movie, just
Yeah.
shows how much something like that can actually impact people and
Right.
a culture and a life and an individual person like Liesl,
Yeah.
realizing how much she's been programmed.
Oh my God. I mean, I knew that I'd been programmed, but just seeing it so blatantly on the screen like that was just like, oh my goodness. Yeah, quite wild. Well, that was a really great time.
Yeah, it got deep in a fun way.
Got deep. We had a really great time around Gyro Park. The lighting, if
Yeah.
you're able to actually watch this and not just listen to it, the lighting has just been spectac, just lovely, which has been a joy. I'm Liesl.
Jeff,
Yeah, we are Middle Age Adventure Walks.
at Middle Age Adventure Walks.
And we love producing walkumentaries. And we call them walkumentaries because they are not just a simple walk. They encompass more than that. And because we have a background in arts and directing and visuals, I like to think that we sort of take up the normal walking videos, take them up a notch a little bit, and show the world as it's happening in that moment. We have some exciting news about where Middle Age Adventure Walks is heading, so keep close watch of our channel to see what's going on there. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that stuff
Watch
is really
the
helpful.
videos. That's the new
Watch
thing.
all our videos.
WTV, watch the videos.
Absolutely. If you're one of those people that's like, what are these walking videos? Who would like walking videos? There's all sorts of reasons that people enjoy walking videos. One of the main reasons that I enjoy them is sometimes you just don't want to think and you don't want to have to go through an experience like Clueless, even if you like it and you don't want to be with characters. You just sort of want to be able to zen out, but still have some entertainment come your way. So there's one of the reasons. If you're looking for something like that, we have got videos in Mexico. We've got amazing videos at Mount Assiniboine that are just spectacular. Banff, yeah. So, and we've got exciting things to come as well. And, you know, sporadically more talkie-walkies on the way as well. So thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Watch, like, subscribe. Have a great day.
Watch the videos.
Thank you.
True love.
True love. See you next time.